Welcome to today's episode of the Broady Windsor Group podcast. I'm thrilled to introduce our guest, Olivier Caron, a highly regarded general contractor with decades of experience in renovating, extending, and building some of the finest homes in the West Island. Olivier's expertise and highly organized approach make him a sought-after professional, consistently recommended by homeowners who've worked with him, as well as top designers and architects in the area. We're excited to have him here to share his knowledge and tips on home renovations and more. Welcome, Olivier.
Thanks for pressing play. You're listening to the Broady Windsor Group on Real Estate, the podcast for homeowners seeking guidance and support on everything related to owning a home. This includes much more than just buying or selling. We've got you covered for everything from mortgages and financing to home maintenance tips, renovation and design advice, and of course, the latest insights and analysis on what's happening in our local communities.
Welcome back to the podcast. I'm very excited to have Olivier Caron joining us today. Olivier runs a very successful construction business here based in the West Island. Construction Olivier Caron is the name of his company, and he's helped out a number of our clients over the years. He's one of our go-to service providers. We value his relationship with us because he takes care of our clients very well. So happy to have you on the show, Olivier. Thanks for joining us.
You're very welcome.
So let's dive right in.
Yeah.
Construction. You guys have been busy the last few years.
Yeah, very busy. Yeah.
COVID changed the whole game for you guys. We noticed it in our business. I'm sure you guys were run off your feet. What was that like for you?
Well, COVID was a disaster. COVID was like basically if you own a mattress company or manufacturer, and then somebody came in and bombed your left wing and your right wing, and then everybody in town wants a mattress.
Yeah.
That was pretty much it. It was complete chaos. But that's past now.
Yeah.
Things are regulated. And, as the boss of this thing, now back being a boss, because during the COVID time was just, you were just, a passenger to the whole thing. So you had no control. Now things are drastically easier.
Okay.
The demand is still there for many good jobs, but not everybody in, the entire province of Quebec is renovating at the same time.
We have noticed, though, since the pandemic, people's, I think, philosophy around their homes has changed, right? People are investing more in their homes. We see an uptick in extensions, renovations, new construction. Would you agree that has sort of caused people to think about reinvesting and changing the way they live and the way they use their homes, making them more functional? We're seeing like the rise of home offices, fancier backyards, basements. Are you seeing that as well in kind of the demand that you're seeing from your clients?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, for sure. Especially the clients that we cater to. Yeah. I think the biggest game changer is really just the value of the homes. You're saying it's a lifestyle. I used to quote stuff 10, 15 years ago. And I mean, like the homeowner had the money to do it. It was like a $300,000 job. And, he's not going to say, well, Olivier, I can afford it, but I just don't want to spend it. He would just say, well, I'm concerned that if I spend $300K here, my home is worth 400. I'm going to be the only one on the street selling it for 700K. It's not going to work. But now with the homes that have got up in such high value, well, it's opened up that gateway where the people have the money to do it and they feel that they can invest it and not lose their shirt. So I look at it more like that than it's a lifestyle. It's opened up a gateway of you can spend a lot of money in your home now, and it's you take it from the bank and you transfer it into your home, and then you get to enjoy it.
Exactly. So you're looking at it as an investment.
Yeah.
Which is something
And
I've always counseled clients. I've looked at it that way myself personally. So I think that makes a lot of sense, and agreed. With the value of where homes are now, to put a major renovation into your property, if you got it in a nice area in the West Island, you're going to get it back and more on the renovation, on the resale. How'd you get into renovations, major renovations like you're doing now? Give me a little bit of your story.
Okay, I'll give you the very quick version.
Okay.
I started pretty young, around 12 years old, watching those shows on TV, and I really liked the woodworking part. So I started woodworking at my parents' place, liked it, and then there was a contractor on the street, a GC, So I asked, you need a guy once in a while. So he would hire me, summer and March break and stuff like that. So that's how I got into it. And then when it was time to go to college, I picked cabinet maker. But in English, you don't have the right word for it because I didn't want to do cabinets. I wanted to make furniture and do woodworking. So it's what I call it cabinet making. Went into it, and then I quickly realized that it's like, the problem with woodworking and cabinet making is that it's a bit like a machinist job. Like you go to your shop every day. And I didn't like it. So then I called back the other guy and said, look, I want to start working full time. So then I did renos. And he was slowly closing down his reno division because he was doing well. He was doing homes up in Tremblant. So I asked, I said, look, can you maybe get me in with the framers? I want to frame. So he spoke to one of his lead guys, and I started framing over there, got my apprentice card.
Yep.
Came back here. And then I basically just framed for like 5 years. And I loved every minute of it. Like absolutely adore framing. As soon as I got there, the guy's name's Jean-Claude, and it's not like the rental world. These guys, these guys are machines, and they're not cutting corners. It's just, you got your high ranking, your lower ranking, and they just, I was like, these guys, if I want to learn, this is where you got to be, So then I did that for 5 years, framed, and then I sort of, I wasn't fed up with it, but every day framing, I wanted to go off on my own, so I built a home out in Rivière-Baudette with a really inexpensive lot. Then I built another one in Saint-Zatique. And then I had enough money to not live paycheck to paycheck, so then I went off on my own. And I started doing in the renos because cash flow. And I also started in 2007, which is not ideal time back then to start a business, So I was doing kitchens and bathrooms, stuff like that,
Okay. And then slowly it just grew from there.
Yeah, exactly.
What would you say is the majority of the work you're doing now with your team?
It's considered, I guess, major renos. I mean, it's not kitchens and bathrooms. So we'll typically do someone's rip out the first ground floor or a second story floor. And I like doing my additions and stuff like that,
Okay.
It really is something more that I enjoy doing. It's not just the money. It's just, you get to open up your wings and, fly and get it done,
Absolutely. Do you get to exercise a little bit of your creative juices doing that? Do you enjoy that part of it?
Yeah, your creative stuff is a lot more on problem solving. There's always problems every single day, So you have to just constantly be I've seen this before. It wasn't exactly the same, but it resembles A and B, and I remember resolving it with C and D, so the solution is going to be very similar to last time, even though it's not the exact same problem. Yeah. Okay. There's a lot of creativity with that, for sure.
Yeah, that makes sense. So if you're advising somebody who's thinking of taking on a major renovation, I want to dive into this. I want to sort of get into, we hear so many horror stories. We see a lot of homeowners make a lot of mistakes. I'm sure you get called in to fix the bad ones from time to time. But what are some of the, if you're having your first discovery meeting with somebody who's thinking of doing a major renovation, an extension, or gutting the main floor, doing all new kitchens, bathrooms, floors, for example, when you're meeting with somebody, what are some of the things that you're advising them? What are some of the tips you're going to give them to avoid making big mistakes? Give me some of the things that people don't think about that you try and get across to them before they undertake this project. And budgeting, I think, is probably a big one too, right?
Okay, yeah. I don't really know how to, it's a very good question, but I don't know how to answer it in my own way because you immediately open the sort of, you call it the first meeting. What did you call it?
Like a discovery meeting. Or...
Okay, so actually what I'm doing the first meeting is I'm judging the client.
Of course.
So I'm looking at the client.
Are they a good fit?
Yeah. So that's what I'm doing, but it does attach to what you're saying. So I'm looking at it. I listen to them, what do they want, and then I say, I just act like I'm been hired already. I don't try to sell it. I just go, well, this could be this, and that might be our problem because of that. And then if the guy sort of wants to overrule me, if he wants to, no, it's fine. We'll just do this, and I'm like, okay, that's a problem.
So it's more of a vetting process for you.
Well, it's to connect to what you're saying. So if the homeowner has called me in to do the work, and you ask what are some mistakes that they do, if they hire someone they don't trust and they feel they should manage this thing, well, they're going to get themselves in trouble. But I understand if you hire the wrong contractor and he sucks, then you have to get on board, So it's a bit of a paradox. It's like, how do you, but I don't know if that answers your question. We can maybe look at it differently. I can give you things that I look out for, but it's my responsibility for the thing not to crash.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm saying when you ask the question, it's like, what can the homeowner do? Is a bit, well, no, like the homeowner doesn't have to do anything but sign checks and make decisions.
No, I guess what I meant was, what should homeowners be looking for before they hire somebody?
Yeah, I mean, they all call friends and they get referrals. And so there's things you can look for that are a little sneaky. I can give you like the sneaky stuff. Okay, so because I have a few friends right now who've had terrible stuff. Okay. And I was like, well, no crap, he had a bad time. You see the guy, It's like, I know I live, but like, it was just like, I get it, But so if the guy's personal life is a mess, he's probably managing his business in the same way. It sort of goes into parallel, like how, the he's a mess. He's going to not be very good at managing,
Makes sense. Yeah.
Does he do more than one job at a time? Yes or no, which is fine if you do more than one job on the time. But do you have multiple trucks on the road with the tools? Because some of the guys will do 2-3 jobs, but they only got one headquarter going around, which doesn't work.
Right.
Those are things you can look for and be sneaky.
These are questions you can ask.
Yeah. Well, right.
And to get referrals, obviously.
Yeah.
Right?
And if his truck's a mess, if you look, that's a weird thing to say, but I'm telling you,
that's a great tip.
If you go there and say, "Oh, where do you work?" Okay, I'll come by and I'll give you my deposit check, or I'll come, I'll come get my quote. Where are you? Go look at his truck. If his truck's a mountain of tool, well, the guy's not a very good manager. He can't even manage his own tools on a daily basis. How's this guy gonna manage your thousands and 10,000s and hundreds of thousands of dollars?
That's great too.
Yeah,
that's a great
it's
tip.
a weird tip. I get it.
No, it's not weird. And that's a good. I never even would have thought.
They're all there. The telltale sign is there, and every
Yeah.
contractor who drives around, that guy's a hack. This guy's good. This guy's a hacker. We see it.
Yeah,
it's obvious.
You can
It's
pick it
written
up.
in the stars. Like this guy's gonna crash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Check how long they've been in business.
Yeah. Okay. So the more serious note, yeah. So you can also do that. You can also call the RBQ. Okay.
Okay.
The RBQ, if there's been a lot of callbacks on them, there's a record of it.
Oh.
Okay, so that's more like a real. The RBQ. I mean, you're not going to go online and check how many businesses he's had. That's pretty complex. But you could see like this guy's had like 12 different businesses in 10 years. So he starts, he bankrupts, he starts, bankrupts. That's a lot of work.
Okay. Let's change gears away from vetting contractors. I think that's some good tips there. It's like realtors, right? You got to ask for referrals, speak to people who've used them, find out what their experience was, do a bit of homework. Right?
But I will add something to help you out. Maybe it's sometimes you get contractors that get really good referrals on a job, but then they get brought into this job that's more than they can handle. Okay, so it's okay if somebody says, I have a great contractor, but like, has he done stuff that resembles this? Has he worked in line with an engineer, with an architect, or he's sort of just the bathroom guy does it on his own? Because that's hard that's going to be that's a lot of politics, eh? Like you've got to, the referrals are good, but also did they match the job that you're trying to do?
Okay, that's another great tip. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, a lot of moving parts, and the bathroom guy may not be able to handle a major extension. Yeah, totally makes sense. So look for experience in the kind of job you want to have done.
That's right. Not just the guy's great, but like, does it fit this job with that job?
Got it. Yeah, and avoid the going on Facebook for recommendations for contractors, because then it's like realtors. Like somebody asked, I'm looking for a good realtor in the West Island. You get 400 recommendations from every realtor's cousin, aunt, uncle, father, daughter. Like how do you pick who's...
I have no comment to make on that one. I'll just keep quiet on that one.
Yeah. Okay. What are some of the most popular requests you're getting for renos right now?
Well, yeah, we sort of answered that last time a bit. So because the homes have gone up in value, a lot of people are just moving money from their stocks or their banks and they're putting it into their homes. The other thing that I see is some people literally tell me, Olivia, the house is too small, or I don't like this home, but like, I'm not gonna go pay 1.6 million for a house I don't like. So
and I like the area, I like the neighborhood.
So they say, I'm gonna just dump some money on this one, and it's gonna be mine.
Yeah,
That's what I get a lot of, and I didn't get that like 15 years ago. Forget it.
So are people taking old homes then and basically making them into the modern home? Like, so are you seeing, like, what are some of the things you're seeing? Are you seeing upstairs laundry rooms like you see in new homes?
Oh, yeah,
are you seeing
for
like
sure.
big ensuite bathrooms,
Yeah.
fancy basements, just the stuff I touched on before?
I basically so many times get called in, and I retrofit a new home inside the old home.
Okay.
That's what it is. You just
Yeah.
tear it down to the bare minimum, and then we do the HVAC.
Basically rebuild it from the
Yeah,
inside
I just
out.
did my buddy's place, and you're gonna be mad at me because we took out a bedroom. It's a small little home in Verdun. And I told Mitch, you can be here for 20 years. Like, who cares? Just do the house that you want. And second of all, like, there's a lot of couples like you that don't want any kids. So you may have less people offering, but the people though like you that have no kids, they're gonna be willing to pay for this place because like finally a home that makes sense to me.
Yeah. Layout wise. Yeah. Your ideal client.
Yeah, they have a huge walk-in closet. They have an office upstairs, like you say, and it's their home. That's it. Like, and that's it. Leave me alone. That's what I'm doing, and that's my home. I'm not buying somebody else's home.
How should homeowners approach a budget for a major reno?
Okay, so the only thing I can talk about is like the laws of the numbers. Many much data. So you add 15% to what you want to. So if you get a quote for 100 grand, you better make sure that you got 115K
Okay.
minimum.
For unforeseen.
Yeah, and that's if the guy that quoted the job's got experience and he's half decent at it.
So should people go out and get 2-3 quotes for a job? Compare them?
Yeah, I have no problems with that, but that can be very confusing for the homeowner as well.
Yeah.
It's very complicated to analyze, and everybody does their quotes differently, et cetera. But I'm just saying from like a business perspective, if you say, I want to do this and you stick to it, like no, we're not doing this while we're here stuff. We're just doing what we said we're going to do. It's going to cost you 50% for guaranteed, 15% more guaranteed.
Got it. Okay. So one thing I've come across in speaking with, because we get calls all the time from a homeowner who will say, Sean, I need your advice. I'm trying to make the decision of should I stay here in the house that I like and renovate and do an extension, or should I just sell it and buy something else? And that's a numbers game, right? So I'm going to approach it from, okay, what's the house worth today? What's it going to cost you to renovate it? What's it going to be worth once it's renovated in this location? And what's the headaches, costs, and stress involved in just selling it and moving? Now, we know there's stress involved in selling and moving, but there's even bigger stress often in renovating a home that you're living in. You may have to move out with something major's being done. So, do you find that people underestimate what things cost these days in renovations?
Oh yeah, drastically. Like not just by a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
I've noticed that too.
like insanely, and it's because this. I mean, I can go on and on and on, but I mean,
Well, give us some of the key factors, like because
okay.
even me as a realtor, when people ask me like, "What do you think it's going to cost to do this reno?" I've quickly had to re-educate myself on what things cost. Like I used to have a pretty good idea of what renos cost. Did a lot renos myself in my own homes, but in the last couple of years, those numbers have ballooned, and there's a reason for that, right?
Yeah. Okay. So the roll of wire, your typical wire, it's used to be $118. It's like $200 now.
Yeah.
Hasn't gone down, by the way, since COVID.
Funny how that happens,
Yeah.
eh?
Okay. So there's a lot of that. Then there's the labor cost. So remember I was talking how I went up north and I worked with this guy Jean-Claude who had a whip,
Yeah.
and
You worked hard.
You said yes, sir.
Yeah.
Now you can't do that anymore. So not everyone's like that, but it's a much softer work environment now, and you can't push the guys too hard. And so you know what? It's whatever. What used to take an hour takes 2 hours now sometimes.
Okay.
And I'm not paying for that because I can't invent people. It's just the market's changed, the labor's changed.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of that.
Is it still a big shortage in getting trades? Or has that softened out a little bit now?
Oh man, it's so much easier. I call up my trades, like my guys that I've been using forever. It's like, geez, Wednesday, we're not going to make it on Wednesday. She added something. When can I be there? Friday? Yeah, we're good. It's a lot easier.
It used to be, we'll see you next month.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you missed your deadline. Well, we'll get back to you when we have another spot.
Right.
But hiring like the apprentices, I mean, it's hard. There is a labor shortage.
Okay.
Not enough people have any interest to it. And it sounds like a cool job. I'm going to go build stuff. Then you get there, it's like, man, I'm pretty tired today, and like yesterday, I'm hurting from yesterday. Then I got to do it again today. Mm-hmm. So it's a cool job, but you know what? It's hard.
Yeah.
And if you don't have a lot of resilience, it seems harder. So.
Right. And has the cost of labor risen as well in the last couple of years?
Oh, the cost of labor is always going up. Those unions every 6 months they keep adding.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's adding to it as well.
That's adding up to as well.
Yeah. Okay. So just homeowner, be aware. Renovations.
If you want, okay. So the reason why it costs so much more than we have a hard time, even myself, I tell my clients, ça va vite. Let's say ça va vite. It's materials are more expensive, labor is more expensive, okay, than it was prior COVID, and it'll be that way forever. Okay.
Yeah.
They got to taste that money. These guys, they're not gonna start cutting their. It's gonna take a major recession for these guys to say, hey, look, fine, I'll go work at this much,
Right. Got it.
And then there's a kitchen. Used to be a kitchen. I don't think I've ever built a kitchen in the past 3 years that doesn't have a coffee bar, doesn't have this, doesn't have that. So it's also like us as humans.
Yeah.
We're very demanding now.
Fancier, high-end stuff.
Yeah.
And it costs.
Yeah, they want it all now.
Kitchens are $100,000, right? They used to be $30,000, right?
Yeah.
Back to budget. What are some other budgetary things that people should think of? Like, what are some of the things that typically cause cost overruns? Or I know when you're renovating, you can open a wall, you find surprises. Give me some of the stuff you have experience dealing with and how you manage that with your clients.
Okay, well, I mean, yeah, you open up a wall and if the home's pretty, like in the West Island home, it's probably cast iron drains. Mm-hmm. Cast iron lifespan is about 60 years.
Yeah.
So you open up the wall and you say, look, do you want me to get rid of the expired plumbing or not? And they're going to say, yeah, yeah. So that's a major one.
It's a big one.
But that could also be it's easy to prevent that. I mean, you get a guy with a camera in there and you start off and he specs out where your drains are. He'll tell you all that even before you start.
Even before you buy the house.
Yeah.
If you're a buyer.
Exactly it. Planning
a big reno, because we get that too. A lot of fixer-uppers, right? We represent a lot of buyers who are looking to buy something that's a major fixer-up. Some of the big ones. So you got the cast iron drains, we see that. The main sewer line going out from the house. Those things are typically in the West Island at an age where they're needing changing.
Yeah.
What are some other things that affect budget? That's another one. We see that too. Mm-hmm. Asbestos, yeah. How does that affect you guys? You have to protect your guys, right, if they're coming in to renovate?
Yeah, so if you do so anything that's built, like I think it's 81, maybe 80.
Yeah.
As
anything built prior to.
As a licensed contractor, I'm obliged to test. So if the CSST comes in and they see that we're working and there's no test that was done, they can give me a $20,000 fine.
Wow.
Okay, so they take it very seriously. So
should.
You want to make sure you do your tests before you start, okay? So you don't end up with this, hidden fee that shows up out of nowhere halfway through the job.
Yeah. So what are the things you need to test for asbestos?
It's mainly the plaster.
Okay.
Yeah, you can test it other places. I can go on about it for like the floor tiles, but it's not. The floor tile is brittle.
Yeah.
I mean, you're supposed to do it, but it just cracks. It's not gonna go. The plaster is really bad because it really goes airborne.
Right.
And you lose control of it.
Yeah. I've seen that. The 9x9 tiles typically have asbestos. The plaster, the stucco. Yeah. Right. That's one they always say to test.
But that tile stuff, they come in and they just negative pressure. They take a little water thing, so it prevents it from flying. And it just like crack, put in a bag, and it gets thrown in the.
So it's a pretty easy removal.
Yeah.
The plaster's a more.
Yes.
Yeah. What kind of prices have you seen for asbestos removal? Like, let's say for a typical, I don't know, 2,000 square foot house, you got to do some of the plaster. I mean, can it 10,000, 20,000?
Yeah, I mean, it could be 10 to 15,000.
Okay.
It's ratios, you know?
So good to know.
Yeah.
Before you get into it. So if you're buying a house, that's something you can do as part of your building inspection due diligence, right? You can have the plaster tested. We've done that with quite a few clients where
I tell my friends to do that.
renovation. Yeah.
I say test for asbestos. The guy's not going to like it, but just
Know
test
now.
it so
Yeah.
you'll know if you want to fix it.
It's going to cost this. Let's talk project timelines.
Yeah, let's do that.
How do you typically manage clients' expectations, and what do timelines look like these days for an extension, a reno? I mean, what are timelines longer than they used to be?
They're shorter than they used to be now because of the COVID thing. You know?
That's good.
So when I hear timeline, I just see my Excel sheets with lines on it. That's what it looks like to me. It looks like he's coming in that day, he's coming in that day.
So it's you coordinating all
Yeah.
of your various trades.
Yeah,
And you have a plan. So can you give people a pretty accurate timeline?
very.
You can, eh?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
But, you know, some of them are listening. It's not true. He did my home. He was off, you know. But
But for the most part, pretty...
for the most part, yes. And that's
Okay.
because when you're creating that timeline, you have these air pockets, you know. I've learned, you know.
Yeah.
So there's weeks where then maybe no one's going to show up at your home that week. And they're like, why is no one here? It's just because it's a planned pause. Because if you have something that, you know, needed to be done, then my entire timeline after would have gone derailing. So it's these planned pauses.
Oh, to wait for the next trade because he's the next in the domino to finish the
Yeah,
job.
so there's key areas, you know, right before we close drywall. Right before. You can ask your contractor. So, like, what's your schedule like? When do you plan on closing walls? That's a huge one.
Okay.
So, say he's finishing with electrical. That's his last guy coming in, and so his electrician's coming in. Okay, I don't know how big the job is, but like you should have at least like a week of nothing scheduled after him before you close your walls. Because what's going to happen, someone's going to add something, is going to walk around, the neighbor's going to say, hey, you know what? My house has the TV. You should do it too.
Put a plug here. Yeah.
So,
Don't forget the bidet toilet. Put a plug next to your toilet.
Yeah. It'll be really convenient one day.
Right.
Okay, so then it's the miscellaneous line that you use it because my drywall guy, I mean, he does new homes. So they're clockwork.
Yeah.
If I miss my deadline, my date with him, it's very hard for me to get
Get
him
him
back.
back.
Yeah. So it's like you don't want. They all want. I want it done quickly, but you don't. You don't go in with this super tight, you know, ship. You know, you leave air pockets, and so you can be organized and you can deliver on time.
Okay, yeah, that makes good sense. And it's also nice for a homeowner to realize they hire you. You're going to walk them through the timeline.
Yeah.
And they're going to have a pretty good, because most people, like, when you're doing these major rentals, are people staying in the house or are they moving out?
No, it's another great perk of doing the major jobs.
They leave.
I love my clients, but you know when you show up at your office, that someone's not eating breakfast at your office. You know this is your office. You know, so they tend to leave,
Yeah.
and you know your cleanup times because when someone's living there, it's more like it's really like a high-end service. Like you've got to make sure it's cleaned up
At the end of every day.
Yeah, there's a lot of money. That's another thing the people that are listening. It's like if you move out, you know how much money I save?
Yeah.
That I then save you money.
So it's basically it becomes a wash.
Oh,
The cost of the rental is saved on living there and trying to clean up every day and work around the family.
I don't have like a kid that works for me just to clean up my sites. Like I'm going to use them an hour a day. So the rest of the time I'm just like, you know, paying for what? So the people who are cleaning up, it's like master carpenters, plumbers, electrician. They cost a lot of money per hour. So if you do that every day for an hour, do the math. It costs a lot of money.
Yeah. So there's the tip of the day. Move out.
You move out.
Move out. Okay. Good to know. Maybe not just for a bathroom, but for something
No,
major.
of course not.
Get out.
No. It's ridiculous. Yeah.
Okay. Future trends. Want to touch on that? What are some of the emerging technologies that you're seeing or the requests you're seeing these days from, I don't know, top designers, like some of the cutting edge stuff that's you're starting to get requests for?
Again, it's to me that cutting edge stuff all comes down to the list of your needs and wants is immense. Every year, like it's more. But I want more. That's where this is going. And
Smart homes, the tech.
Yeah, the smart home, but the smart homes is weird now. Like manufacturers have come up with some sneaky stuff that you can have like a smart home for a lot less.
Yeah.
They have like these little panels, and before you had all that wiring, and it cost a
fortune.
Yeah. And it went down to this massive computer in your basement. And it's like, this is my home. It's so smart. But now it's like
little
Amazon parts are
Wi-Fi
coming in.
hub. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, that's just basically replaced that, like, you know, like in the old days, like when you went to like World War II computer compared to the today computer, you know?
So it's not that big of a deal to put that in. It doesn't have to be planned in as far in advance, I guess.
Yeah, and I'm cautious to that because those smart homes are probably significantly better, obviously, but for like a fraction of the cost, you get something that seems to please people enough to just go that route.
When we built, I installed like a good quality garage door opener, and lo and behold, it's got Wi-Fi. I can open it from my phone.
Or close it when your wife leaves
close it when you're away.
Open.
I can open exactly. I can open the door. The Amazon guys there through my Ring doorbell. I can open the door and say drop it there. Cameras can be installed aftermarket for cheap. The blinds, you can have little remote, like not super expensive. So you can kind of tweak your smart stuff. Lights too, like you can just buy the Wi-Fi lights.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be one of those guys. The smart guy homes, it's getting more and more of a niche market.
Yeah. Coming back to planning for a major reno, should people hire a designer to help?
Testing. Yes. Yeah. For sure.
Makes everyone's life easier, right?
A designer or an architect, if it's a big job, you gotta get somebody in there to really help you prepare for it. And they, as professionals, they know what the other professionals need. It's like they're working at it for a long time, and they show up and they give you this like
plan.
Here's the basket.
Execute.
And then you're like, thank you, sir or ma'am, and we'll call you when we need to call you. And then I know when to call them, and they know what to expect from me, and vice versa.
It's almost an absolute essential for a big project.
Well, I remember I was talking about how when you move out, the cost of cleaning is a wash to if you stay there.
The designer, same thing?
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
So, you spend 10, 15, 20, because it's all in relationship to how much you're going to do it.
The size of the project.
How much money that saves?
Yeah.
You're saving money.
Yeah.
And you get to have these like really friendly people.
Yeah. It's an investment up front. It's not an expense. You got to look at it as an investment. It's
an investment. It's like a insurance policy. Just like me, I'm an insurance policy that look, your house will come crumbling down after, you're going to spend the money and then it's well invested.
Yeah. You got peace of mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. What aspects of major renovations can homeowners tackle on their own, and what should they leave to the pros?
Yeah. You'd have to know what the homeowner's capable of doing
Their
to
skill
really
level.
answer that question accurately. But I think a lot of homeowners can do a lot themselves if they want to, they're not looking for that level of precision and stuff. Definitely electrical and plumbing, so they can keep the invoice and give it to Mr. Broady when they sell it. They say, look,
do that with a professional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's done properly.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
But like paint, some light carpentry, maybe that kind of stuff. Tiling, if they've got the skill.
Yeah.
Could be done DIY.
He's gonna kill me, but I did he can't listen to this. I did a job for my friend like a couple years ago, and I did an addition.
Okay.
And he put his house for sale, and it's a beautiful home, But then people walked in and say, it's like it's a $1 million home.
Yeah.
And like, well, who tiled it?
Yeah.
Like, did you do this? And then he was getting pissed off. He's gonna kill me.
Wow.
But
it's funny you mention that.
It was a beautiful home, but it's like, look, what you've done here, and because he bought it, and the market's changed.
Yeah.
But again, be careful because you're going to be doing something, and it's like, look, it may not pass standards when you go to sell it.
No. Tiling, unless you really know what you're doing.
Or anything.
Yeah, or anything. DIY work is clearly evident in many instances. We see it all the time. Like the guys that kind of do all the DIY and then try and flip their house, and buyers walk through and you're like, well, I've done all this work myself. And the buyers are like, I have to rip it all out and do it all again. Yeah.
So that's a little
general advice, unless you really know what you're doing.
Or you say, I don't care. I'm doing it for me.
Yeah.
And the next guy can just tear it out.
Yeah.
There you go. Whatever. You know?
Yeah. Good point. So I know you're heavy into the major renovations. Do you still build new homes for people?
Do I still build new homes for people?
Yeah, brand new homes
I want to
from
get
scratch.
back. I want to get back into it.
Okay.
So I have to. I've been getting requests for it, and so it's just hard because you sort of, you build this sort of, like a warehouse or a manufacturing machine that produces something. So if I go do new homes, it's pretty much all the same trades, I guess, But there's my core team that I don't know what I mean. I'll keep doing renos, but it's not exactly the same. And I like the renos because I like that I get to use a lot of the knowledge to sort of retrofit things in,
Okay.
I really enjoy that, but I also enjoy like flying. Like when you frame a home, it's fast paced. But again, the margins there, not the margins, but it's so bloody expensive to build a new home that sometimes they cut back a bit on quality, which is, I'm lucky where the people that I work with are really willing to spend the extra to really do like
Good quality stuff.
But when you do good quality from A to Z, it's expensive.
Expensive.
Yeah.
Where can our audience find you? What's the best way to reach out to you and your team for if someone's looking to do good quality major renovations?
Yeah. They can call me, I guess. I used to have a website. I had 3 of them, and every time they got too old, I never got around to doing one again. So probably should do that. Or Instagram or Facebook, or just call me.
What's your Instagram?
Construction Olivier Caron.
Easy to find you. Facebook the same?
Yeah, I don't do much Facebook.
Okay,
Yeah.
so Instagram's a good place to find you.
Yep.
We'll put your contact information below.
Sure.
Email and phone number.
Yep.
But phone's the best, or Instagram?
Yep.
Okay, awesome. Thanks for joining us.